So in this video, what we're going to talk about is layers and how layers work and stacking orders and how Illustrator is really working with this idea of layers. All right, so the first thing is we need to draw a shape and bring up your layers palette. So right now you can see it says layer 1 and there's nothing on it. There's no little preview. It's a white box because, well, I have nothing here. As soon as I draw something on it, you can see it says, oh, well, there's a shape on it. All right, so let me draw another shape. I'm going to draw an ellipse, a circle. Let's change that color. The next thing I'm going to draw is, let's draw a rectangle. And actually, I want to draw it like this and put it in orange. Do you see the way Illustrator, as I draw them, it puts the next object on top, right? So this one was at the bottom, this one's here, this one's here. Well, let's say I don't want that. Let's say I want this image sitting on top. There's lots of ways you can do that. The first thing is really kind of checking how Illustrator is actually stacking these or layering these objects. So you can see within layer 1, I could create multiple layers, which I'll show you. But I also want to show you within layer 1, there are multiple kind of sub-layers, if you will, with this. So you can see this little arrow now. If I down-click that, you can see I have these objects that are here. And if I simply click and drag this to a different spot, you can see it behaves differently. Now, in the stacking order, it's actually sitting in front. The orange rectangle is second, and the ellipse is last. And now I could do the same thing by moving my ellipse all the way to the top, and now it sits on top. Right? So that's just the internal stacking order of Illustrator. Now I could pull and move these and I could do all that. There's also other ways you could do that by keyboard shortcuts and where they are in the top of the menu. So for example, I grab my object and I say, object, I want to arrange it and I want to either send it backwards, send it forwards. So what these are, just so you know, bring to front brings it absolutely to the frontmost in the stacking order. Send to back does just the opposite. It sends it to the back. So let's see, send to back. You can see it dropped it down in the stacking order. Let's go back there. Arrange, bring to front, it just arranges it into the front. Okay, well if that does that, what does bring forward, send backwards do? Well, that moves it one stackable layer back. Right? So within each of these layers, I want to say send backwards, and you can see now it moved here. And if I go back here and do send backwards again, it moves it back even more. Or the keyboard shortcut Command right bracket brings it forward, Command left bracket brings it backwards. Command Shift right bracket brings it to the top, Command Shift left bracket brings it all the way to the bottom. Right? So that's the way the stacking order works inside of Illustrator. Now I can continue to draw these shapes like this, and let's say you said, you know what, I don't want those in front, or I want those all in back. Well, now we need to select all of those and move them backwards. That's where the next thing that we're going to talk about will lead. So I'm going to select all those. Right, so I'm just shift clicking, and all I'm going to do at the moment is I'm going to Command X, which is to cut them, because I want them out from here, because I want to show you the next function. So now we're going to take this, and I'm going to do a new layer, and I'm going to do Edit, Paste in Place. So basically what Edit, Paste in Place does is it takes your copy that you did, and it pastes it exactly in the same place where you took it from, right? And it puts it right there. Now, what's great about that is now these are all one layer. So what I can do is, let's say I just wanted to move these. And if I did Select All or Command A, right, it selects everything on my page. But watch what happens when I lock layer 1 and do Select All. Oh, man, that's so great. Now I have those grabbed, and now I can move those any way that I want. I can actually drag this layer underneath here, and there it is. I can make all these smaller, and let's say I wanted to do something like this, right? Or let's say now I wanted to grab these, and I wanted these to be in front, but maybe they're a different color. All right, well, let's cut those, create a new layer, right? We're going to do Edit, Paste in Place, and there we go. And now I'm actually going to lock layer 2, and now I have this, and now I'm just going to move these around and create that. Select all of them, make them smaller. Right, so there's different ways you can kind of move things around using layers to your advantage to kind of stack them and move them and lock them. And do all sorts of things with that is really kind of beneficial to moving things around. So you could also, right, so I could lock the whole layer, but I could also lock pieces of something. So for example, let's unlock this layer here. And let's say, right, this is underneath here, and I'm having real trouble grabbing this. Or I want to select these two shapes, but I don't want to select this. I can select on that circle, and I can go Object, Lock, Selection, or Command 2. And so what that does is it doesn't allow me to select it, and now I can make a selection and move these two things around. And then to unlock it, go to Object, Unlock All, right, and it unlocks it. I use this command, I think, more than anything, especially when dealing with typography and logos and stuff like that. I really need to be able to lock certain portions, but not lock everything. So again, another example would be, right, so everything is locked except for these layers with the small dots. But I want all that to be locked, because all I want to do is select those and make those bigger, and I want to move those around. It's just a real easy way to kind of manipulate and move stuff around. Right, so that's stacking order and layers, and then also just some kind of individual locking things that you can do inside of Illustrator.